Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stinchfield. I hope everyone survived this winter storm that is affecting so much of the country. We'll talk a little bit about that later on in the program. But before we begin, I want to say this. I want to lay out some facts for you tonight. Some stone cold hard facts. It is high-ranking Democrats that are not only encouraging, but weaponizing these violent leftist masses to take to the streets and impede ICE operations that ultimately ends up in some of these violent leftist goons being shot. You cannot get in the way of ICE operations. That is 100% illegal. So let me lay out another fact for you. What Border Patrol and what ICE is doing in Minneapolis and across the country is 100% legal and well within the bounds of federal law. Impeding ICE operations, including disrupting their communications with these crazy whistles, human blockades, blocking ICE agents with cars, trying to run them over, that is 100% illegal. There is no argument about this. Not complying with an ICE officer or any police officer for that matter will increase your chances of getting killed. Do you understand me? Justifiably or not, doesn't matter. You comply, you survive. These are cold hard facts, folks. Now, I'll give you another fact. And this is a sad reality. But most soccer moms and many soccer dads, liberal or not, just do not comprehend the idea of deadly force. They don't understand that police officers, federal agents, at times have to use deadly force to protect their own lives. They don't understand what goes into the decision to use deadly force in the split-second moment. They can't comprehend it. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean that it's not justified. What it means is the PR battle is very hard to win. And you know what happens then? The media weaponizes that incomprehension from the American public to turn it on the Trump administration or Republicans or law enforcement. So now something needs to be done in Minnesota. And President Trump is acting swiftly.
If Governor Walz and Mayor Frey implement these common sense cooperative measures that I will add have already been implemented in nearly every single other state across the country, Customs and Border Patrol will not be needed to support ICE on the ground in Minnesota. ICE and local law enforcement can peacefully work together, as they are effectively doing in so many other states and jurisdictions.
So, President Trump talked to Governor Walz today. On President Trump's viewpoint, it seemed to be a decent phone call. President Trump simply asked, give us every illegal that is in your prisons and jails, and we will slowly move ICE and Border Patrol out of the city. In fact, he agreed. Greg Bovino, the head of Border Patrol that was running operations in Minneapolis, is now leaving to go run operations in other parts of the country as Tom Homan, the border czar, heads to Minneapolis to oversee operations there. Now, nothing will change if the left doesn't call off their goons, okay? This is Todd Blanche, Deputy Attorney General.
When there was all the focus on the billions and billions of dollars in fraud happening in Minneapolis, suddenly Minneapolis becomes a powder keg. And the people that caused that to happen were the governor, the mayor, the attorney general, Omar. They're the ones that incited rhetoric, encouraged these rioters to go with their cell phones, not to peacefully protest, but to go out and do exactly what was happening on Saturday morning.
Well, we'll show you video of not peacefully protesting. But it's not just the governor and members of Congress in Minnesota. It's not just the mayor of Minneapolis. It's former Democrat presidents. Both Bill Clinton and Barack Obama issued statements today basically calling for more goons to take to the streets. This is from Barack Obama. His statement, it reads, every American should support and draw inspiration from the wave of peaceful protests in Minneapolis. Peaceful protests. Did you see this picture? This is a Border Patrol's finger. We have it? Yes. Bitten off by an animal of a rioter. That's not peaceful. Running Border Patrol agents is not peaceful. Smashing them with flagpoles is not peaceful. So all of this leads me to believe that ICE agents are under attack in Minneapolis and they really can't back down. Listen to this one.
You all need to be arming yourselves right now. You all need to learn how to shoot guns. You all need to learn how to protect yourselves. You guys need to learn what to do in a situation where you get detained and how to help your friends when they are getting detained. You all need to become aware of what's happening right now and how there is no protesting this without some sort of militant action.
This is not normal behavior. Stone cold fact. Now, if you want proof that I believe many of these liberal lunatics, most of them white, by the way, they think they're like now playing in a real life video game. I don't know whether they think it's Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto. I don't know. But they're acting like goons in these video games. Watch this. They vandalized a hotel, banging pots and pans so Border Patrol agents can't sleep. Here's another example. A prison guard calling for backup. He needs help, as he's been attacked as well. And I'll tell you, this is not peaceful. The man who's documented all of this, of course, is Jonathan Cho.
Vehicles also being vandalized. It's unclear if this is an actual ICE vehicle, but this SUV, this Toyota, has been totally destroyed. Here's another one.
And Barack Obama has the audacity to call that a peaceful protest? And maybe the worst part of all of this is federal agents have no backup from local police. This is my buddy Tim Miller, who was on Fox. He's a former Secret Service and ICE agent.
The scary part is that the police aren't with them. I've done hundreds of these warrants, and I'm talking to two smarter lawyers than me. Without the police involved locally, it's a formula for disaster, and unfortunately, that's what we're seeing play out.
I never thought I'd be in a position in America today where local law enforcement doesn't work with their federal partners and, in fact, makes their federal partners' lives more in danger. I want to bring in now to discuss this retired Pinal County Sheriff in Arizona, now a Republican candidate for Congress out there. Sheriff Mark Lamb is with us. Sheriff, good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Grant.
Sheriff, literally, they have no backup from local law enforcement. As a former law enforcement officer, what do you make of that?
Well, look, in the states like Arizona or Kentucky or Alabama or so many of the other states where ICE removals are being done right now and ICE arrests are being done right now, you're not seeing what you see in Minnesota. Why? Because our local law enforcement works hand in hand with our federal partners. To have success, we need each other. And they need Minnesota's law enforcement to be there to help them and remove these people that are obstructing our federal partners as they do their job that Congress and Senate have said, this is the law, we want you to do the job. So I don't understand it either, Grant. And I think that is why we're seeing so much of this unpeaceful protest, contrary to what Obama says. These are not peaceful protests. These are not peaceably assembled people. They are fighting and obstructing our federal law enforcement, and they need help. And I would like to see more help from our local law enforcement out there in that area.
Sheriff, we know this shooting that unfolded over the weekend, this nurse who was apparently a concealed handgun license holder, but he gets in the middle. He doesn't comply. All of these things that would have prevented his death. I want to play a clip from the Minneapolis police chief. Between you and me, Chief, Sheriff, I don't think this chief has any business being anywhere near a badge or on the force. I think he's turned his back on his men. Let me play you this clip and then get your response here.
Greater issue is, even if there is an investigation that ultimately proves that at the time of the shooting it was legally justified, I don't think that even matters at this point, because there is so much outrage and concern around what is happening in the city.
Sheriff, what's so maddening is I agree that it's very hard to counter the outrage, but I think you need the police chief to help do it, not throw his hands in the air.
Yeah, that basically was he gave up, and he's saying, look, it doesn't matter whether he was guilty or not guilty. We just can't control the mobs, the pitchforks, and the torches. Yeah, you can. You should stand up and tell people to go home. Stop obstructing our federal law enforcement. That's what Waltz should be saying. That's what Jacob Fry should be saying. And that is certainly what the chief of police should be telling his citizens. Folks, if you have a problem with the immigration laws in this country, address them where they need to be addressed. First of all, as the Constitution says, by petition, which is a written petition, and then you can redress those grievances with your government, and that should be done at the doors of the congressional members, Senate, and Congress, because they're the ones that made the laws. Don't go after our men and women who put on the badge. But this is not about this. These are Marxist, Leninist, socialist groups that have organized this chaos on the streets of America, and they're using people like Alex Preddy and Renee Good as pawns in their dangerous game of socialism, because they want civil unrest. And frankly, the Tim Waltz and Jacob Fry and so many others in Minnesota, they are enjoying this because this is a smokescreen for how this all started, by the fraud that was being uncovered in Minnesota amongst the Somali community, the tunes of billions of dollars. So this is obviously taking some of the heat off of them for now, but it won't be gone for long. President Trump understands that's where this started, and they're going to be going after those folks, as they should, because we have been victimized as Americans, and we continue to be victimized by them allowing this type of behavior on the streets of Minnesota.
Yeah. Put perfectly, as always. Sheriff Mark Lamb, we wish you luck in your race for Congress. marklamb.us is the website to help him out. Sheriff, always good to see you. Thank you.
Always good to see you too, Grant. Thank you. God bless.
You got it. Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about this shooting of Alex Preddy, who is a nurse, but clearly involved in the agitation, in the impeding of ICE officers. You can see that in the video. Let me play for you an angle of the shooting, and then we're going to break it down for you.
What the wrong with you? Honestly.
So you can hear the whistles. And that's the shots clear. Now, what happens there is officers yell gun. Now, they can use that as a data point in assessing, is there a threat? When a fellow officer yells gun, many courts have ruled over and over again that is a valid threat. A reasonable officer would think that there is a threat, and we know that one of the Border Patrol agents pulled a gun from that suspect. Now, we know the shooting happened moments after the gun was pulled away, but that doesn't take away from the perception of an officer that that there was a threat. And think, this all happens in just moments. I want to bring in now to discuss this 32-year Border Patrol veteran and Breitbart author Randy Clark is with us. Randy, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Grant. It's great to be with you.
Great to have you on. So I read your article in Breitbart, and I would urge everyone to go read that as well, too. Can you take me through why you believe this is a justified / clean shoot on behalf of the officers when you talk about what a reasonable threat, what would go through a reasonable officer's mind, Randy?
So, you know, it's really boils down to something simple. It's complicated now because of the politics that are involved. because of the nature of the media getting involved, the politicians some of them who have helped to create the situation. But it really boils down to what the officer or officers were experiencing and truly believed, that's supported by the evidence, that would lead a reasonable officer to determine that their lives were in danger or the lives of another third party were in danger. And so the only thing that matters is what happened right up to the split second that this officer fired his weapon. And so there are facts that we can look at, and that was part of my job in the Border Patrol as a senior level manager, was to take these incidents, analyze them with just what you had from a cursory nature at the very beginning, and shape a packet of information for those folks at headquarters in Washington or higher up when I was a mid-level manager, so that they know what we're looking at least from an initial perspective. So applying that reasonable eye that I did for so many years with the Border Patrol, I know a few things. One is a training aspect. This agent was a training officer, a firearms training officer, which is an important factor in this. Those guys just don't teach people how to shoot. They are the purveyors of policy and wisdom about when to shoot. So this person is not a new agent, not poorly trained. He's got 8 years on the job. So that tells me that he looked at the totality from his perspective before he pulled that trigger. And he's more than likely got a great understanding of policy, or he wouldn't have done that. And you're right. Case law supports when an agent hears gun, he doesn't have to independently verify it. He can believe that, and the courts have upheld that. But if you look at what you mentioned earlier, it's a chaotic scene out there, and that too comes to play.
Yeah, it sure does. The hardest part, I think, for the general public is to understand the threshold for deadly force when officers are out there. You know, you then hear, I believe it's other officers firing at the suspect. Now, one officer is fired. It may have been a discharge by the gun. We're still trying by the suspect's gun. We're still trying to figure that out, if it could have been an accidental discharge. But the public can't comprehend why 5 officers would go bang, 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 bang as that suspect is down. Now, I understand it. Your buddy is just fired. You want to literally stop the threat, and you will do that until you know that threat is stopped. It may be rough for the public to understand that you have 5 people firing, but they're well within their rights to do that, Randy, are they not?
Well, they're also trained that way. And part of the Border Patrol curriculum in many law enforcement agencies, academies, they do what you just mentioned, which is train to stop the threat, right? They're not trained to kill somebody, but a specific issue addressed in the academy is the 1986 FBI shooting, when you had 2 FBI agents killed by 2 suspects who were bank robbers. And during that altercation, the 2 suspects were shot a combined total of 18 times, one 12 times, and several of those injuries were lethal. They were not going to survive them, but they continued to fight on for up to 5 minutes, taking the life of 2 FBI agents. So what law enforcement learned from that is to go to higher caliber weapons, switch to semi-automatic weapons from revolvers. But it also told them that if you fire once and you wait to see if they have the strength to pull the trigger, you're not going home to your wife or husband and children, or to your parents as a young officer. You're going into a pine box, basically. So they're trained. That was part of the Border Patrol curriculum when I went in, and I know they're training that same theory today, but that case in particular was monumental.
Yeah. And this is the challenge from a court of public opinion that we face, but in a court of law, I believe it's much clearer. Certainly, we've got to fight both battles, because I want to support your fellow guys in the field, but I also want to make sure they've got a good court case as well for their defense. But the court of public opinion is important, and when you have law enforcement officers like the police chief in Minneapolis basically turning their backs on people, it makes it very difficult for these officers in the field. Randy, last word.
You also have a mayor who is, basically making this an issue where you have to come out and make a stance on this, right? He said your children, your grandchildren are going to ask you what side you are on and what actions you took. And my advice is, look, folks, don't get involved in organized resistance that is impeding. It's not protest. It's been hijacked.
Well, Randy Clark, great work. Your piece was great in Breitbart, and I urge everyone to go there and read it. And we appreciate you coming on. I hope you come back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I want to turn now to another part of this story, which is just how highly organized these street animals really are. When I talk about impeding ICE agents, this is exactly what their goal is. Take a look at this signal chat. Cam Higbee has been a great influencer investigating, I call them street animals. We can put that up on the screen, and I'm going to read some of it for you. This is from a signal chat that all of these agitators are using, 9:50 Eastern Time. User Willow shares a video of 2 ICE agents near Glam Doll Donuts. That's the scene of the shooting. 9:53. Another user sends an alert requesting backup on a location, noting vehicle staging. Then they say this. At 10:05, Alex Preddy is on scene, directing traffic and confronting agents shot by CBP. Now, if you go to the next VO6 for the guys behind the glass, this is another screenshot of these signal shots that says backup needed. Multiple vehicles with many agents appear to be staging. Now, this is sound recorded from these signal chats. Roll that.
Obviously, this is a somber day. We had another ICE documenter responder murdered yesterday in Minneapolis. We are grappling.
What that tells me is they're confirming that Alex Preddy, the nurse, was not just a bystander. He was an active participant in all of this. And if you watch the shooting again, maybe we could put up just a video of the shooting. He is in the way. He is stopping ICE agents from securing the area. He holds up his hand to them. He gets in the way. He refuses to comply. And over again, I tell you, all you have to do is comply with federal agents, police officers. You will live every time. That is beyond a shadow of a doubt. We won't be having to have these debates. But the fact is, you get people like Tim Walz, the governor, who doesn't want them complying. He wants to use them as pawns, sacrificial lambs. May be a better word to describe it. Roll, Walz, cut 28.
Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota.
He compares these people to Anne Frank, the young Jewish girl who wrote that unbelievable book about the Holocaust. I mean, Jews everywhere are outraged by that comparison by Tim Walz. But he's also comparing ICE agents to Nazis, which maybe is even worse. And if you compare ICE agents to Nazis, well, that's given the green light to go and kill them all. We'll continue to follow this story. It's having far-reaching ramifications as President Trump tries to do something about it, change the dynamic there. Maybe Tim Walz will agree to start handing over these prisoners from his jails and prisons so ICE agents don't have to work the streets as much. You know, 7 out of the 10 safest cities in America cooperate with ICE and hand over their agents. That is not a coincidence that they're handing over the illegals to ICE agents, and they're the safest cities in America. All right, folks, a new year means new financial goals, like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. It's time to talk to someone from Birch Gold Group. There are forces pushing the dollar lower and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text America to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you're still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Text America to the number 989898. Claim your eligibility today. All right, Democrats want to use this latest shooting to now shut down the government. We'll get into that next.
The very first time an American Pope has been chosen.
We commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a massive parade.
They fight, 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 and they win, win, win.
Floods in central Texas, devastating. The death toll could reach 100.
It's not a good morning. I think our hearts are hurting.
God is listening. Pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
I'm sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk being gunned down because he loved America.
Never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart.
We have peace in the Middle East, and we can thank President Trump.
Looked like an ambush situation.
Two of our brave members of the National Guard were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence.
Hanukkah celebration shot up by migrants.
Appeasement equals death.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
My name is Phoebe, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
Welcome back, everyone. Brace yourselves for another government shutdown. This one again on the shoulders of the Democrats. Why? It is all over the funding of ICE. They are so upset what's going on in Minneapolis. Meanwhile, they're not calling out the fraud there. They're just upset that we're rounding up illegals and that these goons are getting in the way of ICE agents and getting killed in the process. No one likes to see anybody get killed. But stay out of the way of ICE agents. And now they want to shut the government down over this. The House sent 6 bills to the Senate. The bill in question is the Department of Homeland Security funding. That has the portion for ICE. But the way I see it here is if you hold up one, you sink the whole thing. It would have to go back to the House. Not good. Here's Caroline Levitt.
The White House supports the bipartisan work that was done to advance the bipartisan appropriations package, and we want to see that passed. Policy discussions on immigration in Minnesota are happening. Look, the president is leading those discussions as evidenced by his correspondence with Governor Walz this morning, but that should not be at the expense of government funding for the American people.
Well, the senator from D.C., Adam Schiff, who, I don't know, he calls himself a senator from California, but I don't even think he lives there. He has a different idea for all of this.
Well, I'm not giving ICE or Border Patrol another dime, given how these agencies are operating. Democrats are not going to fund that. The government will shut down if Republicans insist that that be joined with other government funding. It will be a Republican decision. They understand we're not going to go along with this. And we hope some of the Republicans in the Senate may see those scenes in the streets and be as repelled as we are.
You know, they don't want to talk about all of the innocent American citizens who were killed by these illegal aliens. All they want to talk about is Renee Good and Alex Preddy now. These are their poster children. The sacrificial lambs, as I said, that they put out there, and now they're going to shut the government down over it. I want to bring in now host of the Alex Marlow Show and editor-in-chief for Breitbart.com. Alex Marlow is here. Alex, welcome back.
Glad to be here, Grant.
Alex, this is a mess. What do you think of I'm just going to say this, of all of it right now?
Yeah, it is a mess, and it's a shame that over the weekend this person was shot and killed by ICE, and it's a mess because I got to be honest, Grant, I've seen all the Zapruder film a million times, slowed down, sped up, and I don't entirely understand why this guy got shot, but I do know that he showed up to agitate armed with multiple magazines, and that's a good way to get shot if you do that, Grant. Did you get shot over the weekend? I didn't. You know why? I hung out with my family. I didn't spend it obstructing ICE operations in Minneapolis. So that's why I was safe. And I'm sure you were safe too, because you didn't show up to interrupt ICE trying to bust Somali fraudsters, which is what this individual did who died. But that said, the shutdown thing that you alluded to is actually kind of delish because ICE's funding is going to surge this year because of the One Big Beautiful Bill. So if the Democrats grandstand again and do the government shutdown or partial government shutdown in order to defund ICE, well, most of ICE has already been funded anyway, so ICE is going to keep going about its business, and it just shows you that they're all about performance art at this point on the left.
You know, if this happens, you've got to call the House back in. Now, the deadline is Friday, under my understanding, for all of this. The House would have to come back in. Most of them are out of town. The snowstorm is basically shut down D.C. That's going to delay things. So I'm left thinking, Alex, is it time we just throw this filibuster out, the 60-vote mandate, before we can send something to a full vote in the Senate? Just throw that out. We wouldn't have to be worried about all these things anymore.
Well, why not? I mean, you know, the Democrats will do it next time. You see how they operate. They don't have a moderate person left. I mean, maybe Fetterman. The whole party is radical. So we need to do everything we can to run up the score when we've got the chance to do it. And I'll tell you, it's not just hardcore people, the type of people who watch your show and read Breitbart who support it. Scott Bessent, a guy who was the top investor for Soros Fund Management. That's where he made all of his money. He was on my podcast explaining exactly why the filibuster needs to go away. So you get a very normal, neutral people who are saying that if the Republicans want to do anything, they got to get rid of it. And I'm convinced at this point.
All right. Anna Paulina Luna has an idea if they push this government shutdown. And you're like me, we like strategy. Roll Anna Paulina Luna, and then I'll get your thoughts on this.
Prevent the Senate from stripping out the SAVE Act. So it would force them, if they choose to shut down the government, when they choose to reopen it, they will have to also then to simultaneously vote on the SAVE Act, which would basically save our country with election integrity. So we can play this game of chicken, but I do have a handful of Republicans that will stand with me very strong and ensure that this is done on behalf of the American people.
All right, she's basically saying use the SAVE Act, which is the Voter ID Act for a national voter ID. Prove you're an American citizen before you can vote in a federal election. And to tie it to all of this stuff, so they want to open it back up, you're going to have to vote for the SAVE Act.
Yeah, I kind of love it. I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing it. I hadn't heard the clip before, but if you think about it, considering what I just laid out about how the ICE funding is going to surge anyway, and this is just one of 6 in the House assembled package, the part of 6 different appropriations that are going to be a part of this. If we could get a bunch of stuff in exchange for clipping a little bit of the ICE funding and get some real substantial change, like getting the SAVE Act in place, I mean, that will change the country for the best rapidly if we got that in place. So maybe you do a little bait and switch like this. The one thing, though, that's interesting is that if we were going to do this, I probably wouldn't be advertising it on TV, which makes me think that maybe the people in Republican leadership are not digging the plan. But I don't know. It sounded pretty good the way she laid it out.
Yeah, I will say this. Republicans are not always the best at strategy and how they should play things in the media either. So that's where we come in, Alex. You and me,
That's right.
we straighten it all out at Breitbart and Real America's Voice. Exactly. Buddy, always good to see you. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Same to you. Thanks as always.
Absolutely. Breitbart.com, and you can follow Alex at Alex Marlow on X. All right, folks. President Zelensky says peace talks with Russia are moving forward. We will discuss the reality of that next.
Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
The very first time an American Pope has been chosen.
We commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a massive parade.
They fight, and they win.
Floods in central Texas, devastating. The death toll could reach 100.
It's not a good morning. I think our hearts are hurting.
God is listening. Pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
I'm sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk being gunned down because he loved America.
Never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart.
We have peace in the Middle East, and we can thank President Trump.
Looked like an ambush situation.
2 of our brave members of the National Guard were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence.
Hanukkah celebration shot up by migrants.
Appeasement equals death.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
My name is Dee Dee, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
In Ukraine, as Russia would put it, their special operation, has been going on for 4 years. I mean, really, it's hard to believe. Apparently, the United States, Russia, Ukraine have had trilateral talks now, and things are moving in the right direction. This is Caroline Levitt.
The president remains deeply involved, and of course he's being apprised by his advisors, namely Jared Kushner and Special Envoy Witkoff, on these talks. They had a multilateral meeting this past weekend, which didn't get a ton of coverage, but that was historic in nature, where the president's team has really brought two sides of this war to the table together to move the ball closer towards peace.
So all of this, to me, is very good news. I want to bring in now to discuss this Vice President at the Lexington Institute and National Security Analyst Rebecca Grant is with us. She's got a great last name. Rebecca, welcome to the program.
Great to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you on. What do you make of the prospects for peace there between Ukraine and Russia? I'm amazed, really, it's been going on this long. Your thoughts now?
Look, Caroline Levitt is right. This was a very important meeting, the first time for a trilateral. Now, there have been negotiations really for the last several weeks. They've met in Berlin, Miami, Moscow, and now the UAE. Also present at that meeting, most people didn't notice this, but we also had their Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, who has become a key player, and then the Grinch, General Alexis Grinkovich, an Air Force general who is NATO's supreme allied commander. And to me, that really puts the message over to the Russians that there will be incredibly firm security guarantees for Ukraine, of course, through Europe and NATO, and that the Russians and Putin are never going to get the kind of victory that they had hoped for in Ukraine.
Yeah. You know, I had said early on in all of this that if you could lower the price of oil, and remember, Joe Biden comes into office, and what happens? The price of oil skyrockets. That basically makes Vladimir Putin a very, very wealthy man, and Russia a very wealthy country to fund this war. Oil's the key, and yet you have Europe buying Russian oil in record numbers. Scott Besson talked about this. Roll cut 3 for Rebecca, guys.
And just to be clear, that we have Europe buying Russian oil still, 4 years later, they are financing the war against themselves.
Rebecca, how important is that, or how bad is that that's what's going on?
Well, you've hit the nail on the head. Of course, the major offender here is still China, buying 48% of Russia's oil. But here's the other problem. That oil goes out on tankers, about 200 legit tankers a month, another 130 shadow tankers. They go right through the Danish Straits, carrying a lot of that oil. Europe tried to set a price cap several years ago in order to keep buying oil. It's mainly Turkey that buys it. The European NATO partners have mostly backed off those purchases. But now we've got that oil down at about $44 a barrel. My sources tell me it may have to go as low as 30 to really put the hurt on Putin. But you're right. We have got to squeeze that oil access much, much harder. India is still buying oil. Remember, back in the summer, Trump had threatened more sanctions. But as long as China is going to bankroll these oil sales and we're going to let those tankers make it over to those Chinese offload ports, then Putin still has a lifeline.
Yeah. Here's one thing. It scares me as someone who broadcasts to you from Texas, where I know a lot of oil producers. Oil at $30 is actually not a good thing. It's almost too low. They're going to start stopping drilling because they can't make money at $30. $45 is a nice sweet spot. They'll tell you it's still too low, but it's a nice sweet spot for Texas oil producers. So hopefully, he gets this ended. I do want to ask you, Rebecca, there's something that's nobody's talking about, and that is February 5th. The treaty with Russia on our nuclear arms treaty expires. Nobody's really talking about this. Is this a big deal? Should we worry about this? Should we renegotiate a new deal? Your thoughts?
It's a big deal because it limits the U.S. to about 1,500 nuclear warheads, Russia as well. Of course, again, China is building up their arsenal, trying to get up to that level. So I would like to see that treaty renegotiated. Trump has mentioned it just off and on. I wouldn't be surprised to see some action here. But look, the main thing that we're going to need, whatever happens, is these firm security guarantees and a lot of U.S. equipment, U.S. M1 Abrams tanks, U.S. Patriot missiles, U.S. F-35s. That's going to have to be in Europe for a long time to continue to deter Putin and Russia.
I saw a recent poll that was done, and a majority of Americans, from a bipartisan perspective, a strong majority, want that treaty renegotiated. After all, I think between Russia and the United States, we control like 90% of the world's nuclear arms.
That's right. Again, though, I really got to put that emphasis that China has gone from having about 100 nuclear warheads to having about 600. They're on track to get about 1,000 by 2030. Yeah. Why the heck? So I would really like to see start renegotiated as well. It's been a good treaty, and it really is just about the last remaining viable major arms control pact that we have. So I would like to see new start renegotiated and renewed.
Well, we can't have a better negotiator than President Trump. Rebecca Grant, it's great having you on the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Two, it looks like Canada is backing off their deals with China because President Trump threatened big-time tariffs on Canada. Canada needs to back off the United States, okay? I'm just going to say that. Back off the United States. We are your daddy, Canada, okay? Make no mistake about it. All right, this next segment is for all our lady viewers out there. You will see what I mean next.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
The very first time an American Pope has been chosen.
We commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a massive parade.
They fight, 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 and they win, win, win.
Floods in central Texas, devastating. The death toll could reach 100.
It's not a good morning. I think our hearts are hurting.
God is listening. Pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
I'm sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk being gunned down because he loved America.
Never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart.
We have peace in the Middle East, and we can thank President Trump.
Looked like an ambush situation.
Two of our brave members of the National Guard were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence.
Hanukkah celebration shot up by migrants.
Appeasement equals death.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
My name is Phoebe, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
So, people as they get older can have all kinds of problems. But you know how you cure some of those problems? By getting hydrated at the cellular level. This is about the science. Energized Health has perfected this. And it is backed by science, and the results are unbelievable. For the ladies out there, menopause is a real thing as you start to get older. Energized Health can help you on this front, too. Watch.
I'm happy now. It works. I haven't seen my waist as thin as this since probably before when I went through menopause. My whole body changed and went crazy, and I haven't been able to feel great. I used to feel sluggish all the time. I would be like, oh, I just want to take a nap. I want to go to sleep. Now I'm always energized. Like the inches just disappeared and the clothes is falling off and I'm losing the weight and I feel fabulous. But no, I feel great. Thank you for this program. It's an amazing program and it's for life now. I live up to the title.
It is amazing. And I know for women going through menopause, that can be rough. Energized Health can help you. I want to bring in now the founder of Energized Health, John Jubilee, is with us. John, welcome back.
Hey, great to be here, Grant.
All right, so menopause. Explain this to me and explain what your clients are now experiencing as they're going through menopause and getting on the Energized Health protocol.
Well, listen, I want to let the gentleman know, menopause is for women, but men, Grant, what can happen to us when we lose our optimal health, we lose our testosterone. So that's our form of menopause for men is we lose our testosterone, we lose our energy, we lose our metabolism, we lose our muscle, right? We don't want to lose our muscle, guys, but that's what can happen when we have the drop in the male hormones. But the great news is I can tell you that I was part of I had a medical study. I had 130 patients assigned to us at Energized Health. We had 130 success stories, Grant, of women that they lost their sex drive. They lost their ability to have a good night's sleep. They would have night sweats. They all gained weight, that they never had before and they couldn't lose. And 130 out of 130, Grant, I'm happy to give the ladies, a big ray of sunshine, a hope that you can really hang on to, a solid hope that Energized Health was able to reverse all those issues. And Grant, I know this is part of your story. We just had a man on Tuesday night, a gentleman, his testosterone went up 187 points during his 88-day protocol. His doctor said, what in the world? I didn't know you went on TRT. He said, I didn't go on TRT. I just did Energized Health.
It's amazing, John, because, look, I have my testosterone levels measured every 5 months or 6 months now. Used to be every 3. After going on the Energized Health protocol, my testosterone levels all went up. And that's science. That's fact. And so I can vouch for you on that front. And then for women, too, I mean, you're seeing huge improvements in all of these things, John, correct?
Well, it really is, Grant. And, just on a real practical note, it's so frustrating for people you get in what should be your golden years of life, but it's like rust instead of gold. It's like rust because all of a sudden, you're gaining weight that you never had before. You've got pain you never had before. You have sleeping issues you never had before. You're losing your sex drive, which that never happened to you before. But the great news is I can tell you we have thousands and thousands of women and men who got back their full sex drive, their full metabolism, their full lean muscle, and got back their joy and their health, and you can too.
Well, it is amazing stuff. John Jubilee, I'm going to tell people how they can get in touch with you, how they can find you. And folks, if you are navigating any of this, getting older, I'm telling you, it helped me. Joint pain, mental clarity, all of that. Ladies, menopause, feeling frustrated by weight gain, low energy, stalled progress. Do not give up. Just visit energizedhealth.com. That's energizedhealth.com. You can watch the free masterclass, discover a science-backed natural way to reset your body at the cellular level, and finally start seeing results again. So you watch that masterclass at energizedhealth.com. And then here's the key. Book a call. No high-pressure sales tactics. You're going to learn something from that call, I promise you, and talk about what Energized Health can do for you. Just book that call. EnergizedHealth.com. All right, we are back with more Stinchfield next.
Very first time an American Pope has been chosen.
We commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a massive parade.
They fight, and they win. Floods in central Texas, devastating. The death toll could reach 100.
It's not a good morning. I think our hearts are hurting.
God is listening. Pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
I'm sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk being gunned down because he loved America.
Never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart.
We have peace in the Middle East, and we can thank President Trump.
Looked like an ambush situation.
Two of our brave members of the National Guard were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence.
Hanukkah celebration shot up by migrants.
Appeasement equals death.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope all of you survived this winter storm. You know, most of the country, from the south on into the East Coast, is still recovering. We're in Dallas, Texas, where, you know, if you get an inch of snow or ice, this city shuts down, man. And in fact, my son today, no school Monday, no school Tuesday. Roads are a sheet of ice. New York, they do a good thing, one thing, that's clearing the roads. These northern states know how to do it much better than states like Texas. I will give them that. Not because their governor, though, knows how to do this. This is Kathy Hochul in New York, giving New Yorkers a lesson on shoveling snow. They don't need a lesson from you, Kathy.
Pro tips on shoveling from someone from Buffalo who knows. Just push it out of the way. Okay, see what I'm doing here? No strain on the back from doing that. Now, when it gets a lot heavier, You're going to have to do a little bit more, but don't lift much. Just do it in smaller bits, okay? Little bits. You can do this. Don't do a big pile and fill this up because that can lead to a heart attack. You don't want that.
It's ridiculous. It's like the worst part of local news. Now the governor is trying to take part in where they're giving you tips on things you already know how to do. I don't know if you're like me. I watched a lot of local news during the storm, and I never watched local news. And you know what? The small talk, the crosstalk. Oh, is that slippery, that ice out there? It was embarrassing to watch. I'm so glad I'm out of that business. That's going to do it for us tonight. Stay warm, stay dry. I hope your snow is shoveled.
If your TV sounds funny in the evening, you're watching Live 6B on Real America's Voice.
It is live from Studio 6B, Real America's Voice, on a Monday night, January 26, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Glad you're in, everybody. On a busy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Slickstar's here. Slick Rick's going to do some sports. Slickstar, how are you?
I'm doing good, Big D.
Big game is all set.
Yes, it is. All set, ready to go to Levi Stadium in San Francisco.
All right. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what else is coming up about this past weekend, about odds makers on Friday. So I don't even know who picked what. So that'll be a surprise to me. We'll go over that, I'm sure, in the sports recap. Rick Delgado's here. He's got main headlines coming up. Mr. Delgado, how are you?
I am good, Damon. I survived Snowmageddon, as you can tell.
Yeah, we all did.
I even had pictures. I showed her pictures of my shoveling prowess, making sure I could get out of the driveway. My shoveling prowess.
Yeah.
Prowess, you mean?
That stuff, too.
Yeah. Well, you used to shovel.